So I procrastinated a little bit. Oh, oh no. Oh my god. What a nightmare mess. Hey fellow plant people. Welcome back if you're returning. If you are new, my name is Jen and I go by The Leafy Geek here, also on Instagram. It's September now. When did that happen? Labor Day weekend, right? I guess I kind of missed the memo that temps were going to be dipping into the low 40s after this weekend, possibly high 30s at night. So it all of a sudden became kind of a mad dash and a struggle to get some of my patio plants indoors, while at the same time completely dropped the ball and have not really done so much to get them primed for returning to life indoors for the winter. So that includes, kind of reacquainting them with the lighting conditions in my house, but also checking them out for any pests that they might have acquired while they were spending their lives happily outdoors. So that's really what this video is all about. I'm going to be kind of showing you the status of where things are as of, what are we at? Saturday night on Labor Day weekend. And we'll kind of go from there. Throughout the next week, I'm probably going to be really focusing on getting plants moved around and finding, new homes for them, and just really making sure that entering back into my indoor plant environment, that they're not carrying anything with them that could potentially harm my other plants that have been pampered and enjoying life indoors this whole time. I'm also going to be kind of following a few fundamental concepts when it comes to reacclimating these plants back into my collection, my indoor collection. First is isolate. Second, decontaminate. Third, reacclimate. Fourth, self-medicate. So, buckle up. This is going to be a weird one. There might be some tears. First things first, we're going to go on a quick little field trip to the furnace room. So I live in a duplex, and this is it's the furnace room. I don't know what else you need to know about this room, except it houses the furnaces. There are said furnaces. And I had to stick a few plants in here because they didn't fit in my house. I ran out of space in my bathroom, which I will show you in a second. But as far as the lay of the land goes, this is where we're starting. This is where a few of my plants are kind of emergency housed. So yeah, we're in a furnace room. The lighting is terrible. Everything is terrible. So I have a snake plant, I have my ponytail palms, I have my banana plant, and then I have my aloe hanging out on the floor in this room. Oh god, the lighting is horrible. Just temporary, of course. This is where they're living for one night until I can figure out what's happening tomorrow. But you guys, most of my outdoor patio plants are living in my bathtub right now. There's a few on my counter. Ugh, Here's my dirty bathroom. Here are the dirty plants living in my dirty bathroom. It's really all I could think of because this is really the only space where, I mean, it's in my apartment, but it's also, it's sterile in here, you know? Like, there aren't any plants that live in this bathroom because, as you can probably tell, I don't have any windows in it. So, obviously, plants can't live in here long term. But as a temporary housing situation until I can actually, like, treat these guys, this is where they are isolated. So, very much a temporary fix. But we're going to address step 2, the decontamination step, probably tomorrow, definitely in the next couple of days. It's a new day. It's Tuesday, actually. Tuesday after Labor Day. And I am in a place now where I am trying to disinfect everything that came in from outside. Right now it's isolated. All of the plants that were on my patio this summer are isolated either in my bathroom or in the communal furnace room that's right on the other side of this wall here from my apartment. So isolated, it hasn't been ideal. I meant to kind of get on this yesterday, but just haven't had the time, and making time now because they can only go so long without some degree of actual natural light. So the plan is to do 2 treatments of neem oil. I did treat them when they were out on the patio. Jury's out about doing neem oil treatments and other kind of pesticide treatments while you have plants outside, mainly out of consideration for the pollinators. And my landlords have a fabulous flower garden, and it always attracts a ton of bees and butterflies. I really didn't want to interfere or, you know, basically create this awful, like, the squeakiest toy in her arsenal every time I sit down to film. I didn't want to create this horrible tragedy for the pollinators that frequent the garden. So that was something I was really kind of considerate of, or really tried to pay attention to. So if I was treating a plant, I would kind of scatter them. I'd do it every once in a while. I'd do a few plants at a time, and I'd bring them inside and do the neem oil, let them dry, and then put them back out once the effects would be minimal. So that was kind of my pattern this summer. But now that they've come in and they're going to be staying in, I really want to make sure that I annihilate anything that was considering hitching a ride and would wreak havoc on this indoor ecosystem that I have going on. So that said, this is what I use. I stick with just the Bonide neem oil. It's a triple action fungicide, miticide, insecticide treatment. And I picked up the concentrated version. I know they make the actual sprays. I like to mix up my own formula for this. I do follow the instructions, of course, and I measure out, what I need and put in my equipment, my spray bottle that I use to treat my plants. But this is what I use. And I find that the concentrate works just fine. I don't necessarily know if it, extends or lasts longer. I'm gonna hide that toy. So the instructions for mixing up and creating the actual diluted kind of formula that you want is 1 to 2 fluid ounces per gallon of water. That ends up being, and they spell out the instructions very nicely for you, that ends up being 2 to 4 tablespoons of the neem oil concentrate per gallon. So I had to do some math in order to get that measurement to fit into, or be proportionate to the vessel or the receptacle that I was going to be using to treat my plants, which is this little spray bottle that ends up being 16 fluid ounces. Fun fact for everybody, if you need some quick mathematical conversions, if you have a similar setup and want to try using this stuff, the concentrate, I have my handy dandy instructions here. So I measured out that 1 gallon equals 128 fluid ounces, right? So my spray bottle, 16 fluid ounces. 8 of these per gallon, okay? So 4 tablespoons. So in order to convert it into 8 parts, because this would be 1/8 of a gallon, I divided 4 tablespoons by 8, and I got half a tablespoon. So I use half a tablespoon of neem oil in a 16 fluid ounce spray bottle, which is proportionate to kind of the higher end, or the more concentrated diluted end of that 2 to 4 tablespoons per gallon ratio. Who's confused and hates math? But it works. I know some people don't necessarily enjoy the smell of neem. I really couldn't tell you. Fun fact about Jen here is that I do not have a sense of smell, and I never have. That is a unique quirk about me. I have something that's called congenital anosmia. I was born without a sense of smell. It runs in my family. It's congenital. So I can't really tell what it smells like. I just kind of have to rely on what people tell me it smells like, or what things smell like. So I don't use this freely about my home, mainly because I also have Hound Dog here, and she is a very sensitive schnoz, unlike me. I try and be conservative with it. I use it in my bathroom. It's where I do my neem treatments, and I have my bathroom fan running the whole time that I'm using it. That's the plan. We're gonna mix this up. We're going to get it into here, and we are going to do 1 round, the first round of neem treatment for those patio plants that I want to have inside this winter. Okay, so again, my ingredients, of course, are my neem oil concentrate, my spray bottle, 16 fluid ounce spray bottle, measuring spoon, water, and a little bit of dish soap. This goes a long way toward kind of allowing the oil and the water to emulsify and stay together and not separate, and you constantly have to keep shaking the bottle up and everything. So here we go. I always add a little bit of water first, just because that kind of loosens things up. I don't know if it necessarily matters. I just add a little bit. I'm sure this is riveting video content. So just add enough to kind of loosen things up in there. Oof. And then I'm going to guesstimate. This is a 1 tablespoon. Oh, that's a lot. Okay. So I added about half a tablespoon. Rough estimate, about half a tablespoon. That's what I'm going with there. Okay. Got that nice and in there. Okay, and then just a couple of squirts of dish soap. And then I'm going to fill the rest of the bottle up to the 16-ounce line. Just like that. Maybe a little bit more because I think I added a little bit more than half of a tablespoon of the neem oil. So screw the top on. Shake it up and we are ready to kill some pests. We are maybe about to get a little stinky up in here. Let's go. Okay, so all joking aside, I'm not gonna hang out in here too long because I want the fan to be running, but it's really loud, and so I want to just kind of explain to you what I did, because I needed both hands for it. So I went through and saturated every individual plant in here, and I covered every square inch that I could. So undersides of leaves, in between leaves, the soil, the rocks, the edge of the pot, like pretty much everything, every surface that I could access on every individual plant is what I sprayed. And as you can see, I've gone through quite a bit of my 16 ounces here, but it's necessary, and it's kind of the first of 2, possibly 3 treatments. I'm going to see how many I can do here in the next couple of days. I know these guys need to get some daylight. And my bathroom doesn't have any windows, but again, this is kind of the best place to isolate them. And I just, went through plant to plant, sprayed them down, let them soak, and I let the neem dry on them. I don't rinse my plants off when I spray them with neem. So these guys will dry off tonight. I'll keep the fan running for a little while here, just to kind of clear the air. Because even though I can't smell, I can tell that it's a little bit heavy in here. So we'll see how they do overnight. Some of them I might clear a spot in either my bedroom or my living room where I can just kind of isolate them in one area where they have some access to natural daylight. They won't be up in like the prime real estate where some of my other plants are, but they'll at least be in a room that has a window. So that's the plan. And again, you spray every inch of the plant. Some of these I might actually also end up repotting. I already have repotted a couple. I'll show you these quickly. These 2, this was my staghorn fern, and I remounted that one, all new soil, new sphagnum moss. And then my bird's nest fern, one of my bird's nest ferns, I did also end up mounting. It wasn't a pot, but all new soil there, and new sphagnum moss on that. And plus the neem oil treatments, I think those 2 I'll feel most comfortable with putting into my general population fairly soon. And then some of these other ones, we'll just kind of see. I did do, before I even moved them in, I did a cursory inspection on each plant too, just to see kind of what the situation was looking like, if I could see any noticeable pests on them before I even brought them in. So didn't really catch too much, didn't see the dreaded spider mite webbing, but you never know. So being careful, and I'm going to do at least one more treatment on these guys, probably tomorrow. So that is my system for disinfecting my outdoor patio plants. There's been a development. All right, welcome to my new quarantine room for my patio plants. In the furnace room, I got permission from my landlord to temporarily house some of my plants. I moved them out of the bathtub in my apartment because these three little jerks have actual signs of potentially having spider mites. I had been treating them kind of on the assumption, all of them, I've been treating all of these plants on the assumption that they likely had picked up some sort of pest, but I hadn't actually seen any evidence of said pests until today. So they are all hanging out in this room. I have a grow light set up, got a shelf to house the ones kind of off to the side that I have not found anything on yet. So they're hanging out in this area. Tried to kind of separate them as much as I could from the ones that I definitely found webbing on. This one is kind of a toss-up. I found what really looks like spider mite webbing. I couldn't find any evidence of like a spider or anything. But I haven't really seen too much leaf damage on this one, except at the ends. The new growth is looking a little bit weird. Let's see if I can find, like, down here. It's just looking a little bit off. And that could be another pest. That doesn't necessarily indicate spider mites per se. And this one is still looking pretty healthy. So this one's kind of in no man's land. But these two, I'm definitely seeing something on. So pretty much everybody's going to get repotted. Pretty much everybody's going to get scoured and cleaned up real nice, real good. And we'll see who makes the cut. Dang. It's like Survivor. Well, this video took a turn. So I can't really show you a full-on conclusion of how I am going to incorporate my plants from outdoors back into my apartment, because right now they're all still in quarantine. I am planning on spending a lot of time this weekend just repotting and cleaning those plants. I'm planning on following Heart-Shaped Leaves' wonderful tutorial on the spider mite solution that has worked for her. I really think that might just be the way to go here, because there are so many of them, and I'm really looking for a solution that's going to potentially last a while and really kind of nip this issue in the bud. Because, you know, pests are manageable to a point, but when you have kind of a finite number of plants you know have been exposed, and then you find like actual evidence of pests on them, it kind of changes the game a little bit. Not to say I wasn't taking the threat of spider mites seriously before, but I certainly am taking it extremely seriously now. Now that I've found evidence, physical evidence. I really don't want to invite that into my apartment. I don't want to tempt fate this winter. I have a lot of plants that I'm really enjoying, growing and seeing their progress right now. I don't want to put any obstacles in the way of that, that I don't have to. So some of those plants might not end up back in my apartment. Some of them might end up back in my apartment, but still in semi-quarantine. They just might be in a part of my apartment that isn't around any other plants. And I might designate a space for that handful of plants that do end up there. So that's probably the most important thing, is to have a space for those plants until you're sure that they are pest-free, or at least as sure as you can be. Another thing you can do is, if you have somebody that you know who maybe doesn't have a full apartment jungle and is looking for a plant, might be interested in rehabbing a plant. If you have those people in your life, they're awesome. Hit them up. Full disclosure though, don't give anybody a plant without fully disclosing what the potential issues are with that plant. That's just rude. Gift them if you can. Give them away if you can. Don't beat yourself up over the fact that they might have pests on them. They've been living outside in the wilderness for however many months. That has to be some level of expectation there that they're going to pick up something. I just wish it wasn't spider mites though. That's really my plan for those plants, is to treat them, repot them, give some away if I need to, and rehome the rest in an area of my home that isn't really exposed to any of my other plants, especially the plants that I really am protective of and are my collector plants. They will not be anywhere near my Hoyas. F that. So thanks for coming along on this little journey, saga, odyssey, nightmare. I hope that it's been somewhat helpful. I don't even know what this video is anymore. The sheer futility of hoping that a plant's gonna be okay when you take it out of an environment that it loves in preparation for a long, cold, very cold winter. I mean, honestly, I prefer to bring them in. I don't like throwing them away. I don't like leaving them out there to freeze. That sucks. I'm gonna do what I can to try and save them. I know there's a few, specifically my dragon fruit I really want to save. I have a few jungle cacti that have been outside the summer that I would love to be able to reincorporate. My silver dollar vine I'm pretty bummed about. That's one of the ones that has the webbing on it. Damn it. Damn it. All right, you guys. I hope you guys have a wonderful weekend, and until next time, enjoy your plants.